question for both of you, maybe more for Andy, because towards the end of this summer, I'm going to be moving across the country. So I have like a especially keen interest right now in how bonsai is done in different parts of the world. Because I feel like, here in Seattle, we don't have to overwinter our trees very much. So every part of the world like has some local peculiarities, about how they do bonsai. So Andy, is there any major differences you notice, for example, in how the clubs work from where you were in Oregon and in DC, or in how you have to take care of your trees? And also, as part of this question, are there any species that you wanted to take from Oregon but had to leave behind because of the differences in climate?
Yeah, so I guess the first part of that about being in different, what I've experienced, at least from Oregon to DC, is there's strong, I lived in Eugene, Oregon. I know Portland is like an epicenter for bonsai, like really is just killing it out there. Like mad shout out to everyone out there that's like part of that community and supporting it and doing their thing. All those professionals are just really good that live there. And, Eugene's a lot smaller. It was a town of about 1,800, or I think it was small. I mean, mostly a university town. The club, I was definitely like one of the younger people in there for sure. And a lot of good advice from everyone. And it felt more of like a family out here. I haven't really joined any societies yet. Well, I was about to join one, Brookside Bonsai Society, but then coronavirus happened, so that no meetings right now. But the one thing I've noticed out here from talking to people that have been here longer than me, and kind of my thing with DC, is it's a very transient place. People come work for the government and then maybe go on detail to work for the government in a different state. So I feel like the community around the collection itself could be a lot stronger. And I think that people there's been some, I'm trying to say this in a way that won't get me blasted in the comments or something, but like there's people that, people kind of don't, maybe they clashed a little bit and caused some divides between the clubs. And I could see that as an outsider, but I'm trying to start a study group and kind of get a more community kind of built around myself and and just kind of do bonsai with friends. I mean, that's the main, for me, bonsai, being a curator, like trying to be a curator one day of a collection, is I really value the collaborative effort of what bonsai can be if it's collaborative with. You can do it by yourself if you want, but I think it's really fun to have different inputs into one tree and, work through designs. And that's something that I don't feel like I have here as much. And I think that's just because I'm newer here. And I mean, going to the tree, yeah, I think that's the biggest difference probably. It's just a big city compared to a small town is the difference for me. And then going to the trees, I was just talking about that this morning while I was over at the collection with one of the guys I'm working with. And I was talking about how bad I want mountain hemlocks, because they're just so, man, that foliage is just amazing. And I would love to have that. And maybe I'm sure people have grown them here for a long time. And that might be something I also get told, is like, you can grow them here. But I'm not willing to risk a beautiful tree like what the mountain hemlocks I've seen are like to try to grow it here. I know Nature's Way, they have them up there in Harrisburg, but that's 2 hours north of me. And just that little bit of difference. DC is humid and hot, and the winters are not that cold. So they don't last very long here. Larch as well would be another species I wish I could have. Yeah.
I'm in that scenario right now because I have mountain hemlocks, western hemlocks, and subalpine fir. This is like a western hemlock, mountain hemlock hybrid. And, they grow very densely, so nicely on their own. Like you just have to, once you set the basic branch structure, they'll kind of fill in for you, and then you just go in and pick the ones that you don't want. But especially since a lot of those were ones that I collected, they're my favorite trees out of all of the ones here. And I asked some people online. I haven't found anyone in Ohio that grows mountain hemlock yet, but people told me it should be possible. So what I might do is I might leave my bigger ones here with Dan, and then like bring some of the younger ones and just see if they can grow there with some shade cloth or something.
Yeah, definitely give it some time before you bring the big ones, because I know larch could survive in DC for about 5 years, and then they just slowly putter out. So don't get too excited, like too fast with it is my recommendation for that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it might also have a lot to do with your microclimate. I heard there was something, I think Dan told me about someone that was growing larch in a kind of warmer place. And what they would do is they would put the larch on the ground every night, which somehow made them experience cooler temperatures, get more dew compared to if they were higher up. So maybe there are little things like that that I could do, but we'll find out. Yeah.
Your back's going to hurt if you're doing that with the big ones every day.
Yeah, I might just leave them on the ground forever. Yeah. Julian, did you notice anything different? I also feel like one thing I'm thinking about as I'm considering moving from Seattle to Columbus is like have clubs do things differently, and I could try to take some ideas from this club from the Seattle club to the Columbus club or something. Julian, do you know anything about what the LA club is up to? I know that they're doing a lot more YouTube content recently.
Yeah, the LA's kind of has its own, in some ways, like segregated bonsai scene from the rest of the U.S. It's kind of the quote unquote original bonsai scene, at least in the U.S. for when bonsai started to get momentum in stateside. So because of that, we have a lot of really old clubs here that have a lot of history and some older members and some cool things going on about it. But on that same side, it's kind of like both a plus and I guess a negative that some people are there kind of more content in just doing bonsai however they enjoy it or however they see it, and maybe the clubs aren't as so receptive to learning more or doing some change. I'll say recently, yeah, you have seen some more stuff, at least on social media. We have the California Bonsai Society, which is led by Bob Pressler, and he's been making a large effort of recent years to bring in artists outside Southern California and even internationally to kind of give some more exposure and diversity in the community. And you see, we have if a Doyle Saito, and he runs they do Facebook live streaming for the Daiichi Bonsai Club. So sometimes you might see that on Facebook. And another guy, Tom Wall, he's at Baikyoen Bonsai Club, which is a local here to the LA Arboretum. And he's recently been making an effort to get out a lot of videos, of the local club members and different artists to showcase, what bonsai is around this area. So I would say, they're all doing a pretty good job and kind of trying to progress the community more. Since the timing's pretty bad since I've gotten back. It's not a good time to to get involved. But before I went to Japan, I was in school. I was in college, so I didn't have too much time to be really active in the club scene. So I would just attend some meetings here and there, all the local shows. But I do hope now that I've been back, hopefully in the future when things the timing is better, to get to know the clubs a bit better, involve myself in the community. But what was the question?
I was just wondering some of the things that the LA club is up to. That's a pretty good list of what the activity is like in the area. It's kind of interesting because did you come back right before COVID came?
So I came back about like end of January. So that's when COVID started.
Yeah, like 1 month before the lockdowns.
Yeah. I thought at the time I left Japan, that's when there's like a kind of lot of the concerns and scare going on in Asia, because they have there was in 2002 there was a SARS, which is the same type of virus as COVID-19 but different strain, and that was a really big deal back then. And some countries had a bad experience and kind of memory with it. So when they saw COVID, some companies really jumped into gear because they've had already the experience in the past and were very cautious and worried. So when I saw that happening there, I was like, oh, you know, I'm escaping from
Did that?
the virus in a sense, and I just came
Mm.
here to the U.S. and it's pretty much the same thing just is going on.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
were you trying to escape on purpose? I mean, like, did COVID speed up your timeline for leaving?
No, that was just purely coincidental. The
Mm.
whole COVID situation happening. I already intended to come back stateside around this
Okay. Lucky timing then, or unlucky in some ways.
time.
Lucky in others. At least you didn't have to quarantine when you got back.
Yeah.